Hi there, and welcome on the journey to transform culture. I'm Steve, and I'll be your guide. Well, folks, today let's talk a little bit about change. We all go through change. Change is the constant that we've always heard, right? Everybody says, one thing that's certain in life, and that's change. That's absolutely true. And we go through different types of change, right? We have personal changes in our lives. We've got professional changes in our lives. We've got changes that are happening to people who are close to us in our lives, and changes also similarly professionally with others professionally that we know, also in our lives, right? And we have the culture at large that we interact with pretty much constantly, right? And we can be a force for good. I mean, it's very simple, but think about it. We can be a force for good to understand that everybody is always going through some change, right? Even good change. Like sometimes the connotation that change is negative or harsh, it is true. Sometimes change is negative and harsh, but sometimes change is necessary. And it's important that we, kind of put our 2 feet on the ground ourselves and go, okay, we're going through some change. Give yourself some slack. And just understand, there's going to be maybe a little, some rough seas, but don't overthink it. Don't think too far forward to think, oh, what's the worst case scenario? Because think throughout your entire life, when something came up and you were nervous about it or anxious, and then you tackled it, right? You performed. And sometimes maybe we didn't perform well, but we learned from our performance, right? We learned from the outcome. And we took that forward, and that shaped and molded maybe how well we prepared for the next time. That molded and shaped how better we pre-planned or planned for the next time. But there's a difference between pre-planning and preparing for change and working through change, and overthinking and over-worrying, projecting a worst case scenario onto a thing, right? You have to be careful about that. Stay present in the moment and say, okay, where am I at? What's the reality of the situation? And then where can we go from this point forward? It's that whole thing where it says, how do you eat a pizza? One slice at a time, right? Just pick a slice, an important slice, handle that. Don't overthink it and start thinking about having to eat the whole pizza, right? Although, if you're really hungry, a whole small pizza probably isn't too difficult to eat, but at least not for me. But the point is that you want to bite off what you can chew, not more than you can chew, not worry about more than you can chew, right? And not worry is the key phrase there. Because if you're doing pre-planning, if you're, there's forward thinking. And forward thinking is not worrying. Forward thinking is looking at potential chain of events, but pulling your emotion out of it, right? So be a forward thinker and pre-plan, prepare, understand that you got to go through some change and you got to navigate, potential obstacles in the way. And forward think, but don't project fears, anxieties, concerns beyond what is legitimate into the situation. Deal with what you can in the moment. And then this is where we pull people into our world, into our circle, to help us to overcome challenges. Leaders are not always going to have every single answer to a problem. And we have to, as team members in the broader team, we also have to understand this and say, well, it's not not get into a rut of thinking, well, it's not my position and not my role to solve that problem or to, think my way out of that. But in all actuality, it takes a team, right, to get wins. It takes a team to overcome challenges. And leaders, you have to be vulnerable enough to understand that and to be able to tap into your talented pool in your team and try to come up with solutions and brainstorm. And it's also kind of fun too, because oftentimes what will happen is that you'll have a breakthrough in a particular area, and it will spider out into other breakthroughs and other potential scenarios that you can gain ground on, right? So you may find that when you're looking for a solution to one problem, that you find solutions to many problems, right? And this spiderweb effect is a good thing, right? So don't be afraid of change. Don't project fears and anxieties. Remember, being forward thinking is pulling that emotion out of it and tackle it methodically, right? And in doing this, because you'll alleviate the concerns and fears in others as well, because you have other people, teammates, and if you're a leader, your broader team, they're going to get panicky and they're going to project fears or trepidations about change if you have those unnecessarily, right? So tackle these things methodically. How can we overcome the problem? I think of the movie Apollo 13, right? When he comes in and he goes, okay, on the whiteboard, here's the issue. They've got enough oxygen to go from here to here, yada, yada, and we've got some X amount of power. How do we get these astronauts around the moon and back to Earth? And then puts that in the engineer's lap and says, okay, figure it out, right? That's the challenge. Pull the emotion out of it. How do we functionally do this thing? And then what you're going to find is that you come up with solutions, and those solutions will help potentially with preventative measures for other situations. Your risk management is going to be even better now because you've worked through these issues. Now, to take that a step further with risk management is do the what if scenarios. What if production line A goes down, or machine B, or XYZ people, or some of these scenarios. Remember, don't project anxiety and worry into the situation. Look at it functionally and say, okay, if these certain things happen, what would we do? How would we recover in the most efficient and effective way? And then present that with your team. This is a great way to brainstorm if you don't have a project immediately in front of you, is to do your what if scenarios. And then what you do is you end up creating something that you can document and refer to. Hey, when this happens, this is what we do. Okay. Contingency plan, right? All right, folks, just a short one today. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Remember to hit that good domino 3 to 5 times a day to uplift, motivate, inspire, and just encourage folks. And when you do that, not only are we transforming, changing culture for the better, but we're also changing ourselves, and we're growing and we're developing ourselves. And that's an amazing thing. So don't think lightly of it. All right, folks, hit like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, we'll talk to you later.